The Velkar were the galaxy's apex predators. They didn't make peace, they didn't trade, they hunted. Every planet they visited became silent within days. Strong species tried to fight. Weak ones tried to run. Nothing worked because the Velkar never lost, and they never retreated until they came to Earth. The attack didn't start with warships. It began with a message broadcast across the stars. We have found a new target, Earth. We will test its strength. We expect disappointment. The galaxy watched, curious. Some races laughed, some cried, most turned away. They had all seen what came next, but Earth didn't respond. No message, no panic, only silence. 7 Velkar hunters dropped into Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. They were tall, armored, covered in living biotech that fed off heat and fear. Their weapons were alive, their senses sharper than any machine. They didn't go to the cities, they didn't aim for soldiers or scientists. They followed something deeper, older. A signal none of their prey had ever given before. Something hidden, it led them to a quiet place, a human farming village. The Velkar moved at night. They entered the village without sound. No alarms rang, no lights turned on. The houses were small, simple, wood and stone. One hunter laughed. "This is strength? This is the best they offer?" The leader said nothing. His eyes scanned the area. He pointed at one house, a small cottage. No power. No weapons. Just a single old man sitting outside on a wooden chair watching the stars. The Velkar moved in. The old man didn't run. He looked up, smiled slightly. "You're not from here." The lead Velkar stepped forward. "We are your end." The old man didn't blink. Instead, he asked, "Are you alone?" The Velkar laughed. "We are never alone. We are the end of strong things." The old man stood. He didn't look like a soldier. His hands were scarred but gentle. His back was slightly bent from age. His eyes, however, were clear. Like he knew. Like he had seen this before. He nodded. "I see. Then I am sorry for what comes next." The Velkar attacked. They moved faster than light. But something was wrong. The moment they crossed the fence of the cottage, their vision blurred. Their weapons hissed and shut down. One tried to speak, but his mouth filled with dust. Another raised a blade, but his arm turned cold and numb. The leader roared, but no sound came out, only silence. And in that silence, the old man whispered, "This is sacred ground." One by one, the Velkar vanished. No fight, no scream, just nothing. Gone. The galaxy waited for the usual signal, but nothing came. The Velkar didn't return. Their tracking beacons disappeared. The area around the Earth village became unreadable to satellites. It was as if time refused to move there. Back on their warship, Velkar High Command was confused. One of their scientists said, "Maybe Earth's gravity caused a fault." Another said, "Maybe their strongest are hiding." But the elder predator, the oldest Velkar, shook his head. He had only said this once before in all his centuries of conquest. Something older lives there. Hours later, a probe was sent to the village. It hovered over the fence line. It saw only silence. The house was empty. No life signs, no heat, no bodies, just a simple wooden chair, and 7 shadows burned into the earth. The broadcast changed. Now, the galaxy wasn't laughing. They were watching, not Earth, but the empty space where Earth's predators had gone. In a secret Earth base, buried deep below mountains, 2 humans watched the reports. One was a general, the other wore no rank. "Do we respond?" the general asked. The other shook their head. "No, let them wonder." The general leaned forward. "What did they find in that village?" The other smiled faintly. "Not what? Who?" In the stars, silence returned. But it was not peace. It was something worse, uncertainty. The Velkar had finally met something they couldn't defeat, and the galaxy whispered the new truth. Earth was hunted, and Earth did not blink. The Velkar do not accept failure. 1. Lost team meant nothing. They had many more, so this time they chose their second-best hunters, more brutal. Less curious. These were not explorers. They were executioners, and they made sure the galaxy would watch. A live feed was broadcast from orbit. Dozens of species tuned in. Alien children sat with their parents. Soldiers watched silently. Old enemies of Earth leaned in close. Velkar ships dropped from the sky, bright, loud, full of fire. No more stealth, no more games. This was a hunt. 12 hunters, 12 war beasts, and one goal: destroy anything that looked strong. But Earth still gave no answer. No warnings, no ships launched, just clouds, wind, and silence. The Velkar laughed. This planet has pride, but no teeth. The hunters landed near the old village, but the village was gone. Where it once stood, there was now only tall grass and a single sign made of stone. It said, "You came again," one hunter growled. "They mock us," the commander spat. "Good, that means they're hiding. Let's draw them out." They set up camp, broadcast. Their location lit fires and waited. Hours passed, then night fell. No animals moved, no wind blew. The stars looked wrong, like they were watching. One hunter said, "I feel like I'm being hunted." The commander ignored him. "Fear is for prey." At exactly midnight, the fire went out. Not slowly. It vanished. Then the beasts screamed, but not for long. By the time the hunters turned around, their creatures were gone. Only blood remained. Thick, black, steaming blood. One of the hunters dropped to his knees. He tried to speak, but no sound came out. Then he vanished, like the first team. The others raised. Weapons, they fired in all directions. Blades cut trees, guns lit the sky, but nothing fought back. Nothing. Visible. The galaxy watched in real time. 12 screens, then 11, then 9, then 5. Each signal ended the same way. One moment of static, then a sound like breathing, then silence. Only one screen remained. The commander. He stood alone, covered in blood, breathing hard. He turned his camera to his own face and whispered, "They're not weak. They let us come. Tell the others Earth is not prey." Then he screamed, and the final screen went dark. The broadcast ended. Billions had watched. No one spoke. Some cried. Some vomited. Others ran outside and stared at their skies, waiting, worried, praying. They had never made Earth angry. In a hidden moon base, a Galactic Council emergency meeting began. The Varnok, the Grawl, even the Sarathi, enemies for centuries, all agreed on one thing: do not provoke the humans. But it was too late. The message was out, and Earth was listening. Back on Earth, in a forest beyond the ruins, 2 old humans walked quietly through the trees. They didn't speak, but around them, the wind moved like it was alive. One of them paused. "More are coming," he said softly. The other nodded. "They always do." Far below the Earth's crust, in a chamber untouched for 1,000 years, something opened its eyes. Not a machine, not a god, just a man. But his shadow stretched. "Sharong!" He looked up at the surface and whispered, "Again?" Then he smiled. After the second Velkar team vanished, the galaxy was afraid. But one alien did not believe the fear. His name was Charuk, a scavenger from the Shari race. He didn't care about danger. He cared about money, and Velkar tech was worth a lot. So while others hid, Charuk flew his small ship toward Earth. He planned to sneak in, grab a few weapons or armor pieces, then leave. Easy, fast, profit. Charuk landed at night, near the ruined Earth village. His ship stayed hidden in the trees. He wore a cloak that made him invisible to satellites. As he stepped onto Earth's soil, he laughed. Fools. They probably got eaten by local wildlife. But the land was too quiet. No birds, no bugs, no wind, just the sound of his own footsteps. He reached the place where the Velkar camp had been. There were no bodies, no weapons, only shadows, burned into the earth, like the sun had melted them into the ground. 12 marks, and one large circle in the middle, darker than the rest. Charuk stepped closer, holding his scanner out. Suddenly, it sparked. Then it died. No power, no light, dead. He looked around. No movement, no threat, but he felt watched. Then he saw it, a stone wall, very old, covered in vines on it, written in perfect galactic common. Run, just one word. No name, no threat, just run. Charek's hands began to shake. He backed away. Suddenly, he heard breathing, not from behind, from inside his mind. He turned. Nothing. He ran. Charek reached his ship, gasping. He flew off the planet in silence, but something followed him, not a ship, not a weapon, a presence. When he reached orbit, Charek sent a message. To anyone who hears this, don't go to Earth. Don't look. Don't ask, just stay away. He attached the data he recorded, shadows, ruins, the word on the wall. Then he locked himself in the med bay. The next morning, Galactic Station 7 received Charek's message. They played the recording. Scientists leaned in. Military officers watched closely. At first they thought it was fake. Then they saw the stone wall and the shadows, and something else. In one frame, only one, someone had paused the video at the perfect time. In the background, between two trees, stood a figure, human-shaped but too tall, too still. Its eyes glowed red and it smiled. The council called for an emergency session, but it was already too late, because something strange had happened to Charek when a recovery crew found him. He was still alive, but his eyes were white, his mind gone. He kept whispering one word. They see. The report was sealed, buried, hidden under 1,000 levels of security. But rumors spread fast in the galaxy, and soon every species had a new fear. Earth doesn't just defend itself. Earth hunts back. On the Velkar homeworld, the High Blood Circle sat in silence. A third team lost. No survivors, no data, no reason. The elder predator finally spoke. Send no more. But a younger general shouted, Cowards! We are the Velkar, apex of all. The elder stood slowly. Not anymore. Back on Earth, in a deep forest untouched by war, a child was drawing pictures on the ground. His mother walked over and paused. The picture showed tall hunters, aliens, and a shadow. Swallowing them all, she asked, Where did you see this? The child smiled. He showed me. The quiet man in the trees. In orbit, Earth's satellites blinked, not down, not broken, just off. For 10 full seconds. Then they came back. But something had changed. A signal had been sent. Not by humans, not by machines, by something older, something watching, far beneath Earth's surface, deeper than any human machine had ever reached. An ancient chamber lit up, not from electricity, not from magic, but from memory. It had been sleeping, waiting. Now it was awake. High above, in Earth's orbit, a deep space listening station picked up something strange, a sound, low, cold. Not a language, but it had rhythm, like breathing through stone. A human technician tried to decode it, but the signal didn't follow any known pattern. It repeated every 47 seconds, and every time it played. A satellite died. No reason. No trace. Just gone. Inside the chamber, a shape moved. It looked human, but it was taller, stronger, made of something more than flesh. It opened its eyes. Pale, ancient. It did not smile. It did not speak. It simply walked forward. Back. On the Velkar homeworld, a message arrived. No signal, no ship. Just a single word carved into the walls of their war temple. Observe. They tried to erase it, but every time they looked away, the word returned. Bolder, burned deeper. The elder predator finally said, It watches us now. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council met in secret. Fear covered every voice. What is Earth? Someone asked. It's just humans, said another. But the Varnock speaker stood slowly. We fought them once, a long time ago. We lost. That made the room go silent. You never reported that, the others said. We were told not to, the Varnock replied, by something wearing a human face. It looked into our minds and said, This is your first and only warning. Back. On Earth, strange things began happening. In a jungle in South America, explorers vanished, all except one. The survivor said a shadow took them, a shadow with a heartbeat. In a mountain village in Asia, a satellite dish melted during clear skies. The operator swore he heard whispers from the clouds. In Africa, a desert turned to glass overnight. Perfectly smooth. Not from fire, but pressure. As if something had stepped there, the humans in charge, the secret ones, watched carefully. They didn't try to stop it. They didn't panic. They just monitored. A general asked, "Is it contained?" A woman in a grey suit replied, "For now." But it has started moving. Where? She pointed to a map. There was no city, no base, just empty land, one word written on it, arrival point. Far away in a distant part of the galaxy, another predator species, the Krav, heard the stories. They didn't believe them. Humans are myths, they said. Fragile, mortal. So they sent a scout. Not to fight, just to see. But the scout never returned. Only his ship did. Inside it was a message carved into steel. "Next time we won't return your ship." Back on Earth, night fell. But the stars didn't look the same. There were fewer of them. As if something was standing between Earth and the universe, watching, waiting, protecting, or preparing. And deep in that underground chamber, the ancient, being finally reached the surface. It stood in a field, smelled the air, touched the earth. Then it whispered, not in any language, but all of them. They sent hunters. They found ghosts. Now, they will find me. Across the galaxy, something changed. Not in politics, not in trade, but in silence. Worlds that once spoke freely stopped talking. Fleets that once trained for war returned to their home planets. The reason? Earth, and something now awake on Earth. The Velkar were silent. The Varnok stopped scouting, the Krav, who had never retreated from any threat, turned off their long-range sensors near human space. It was as if a dark fog had spread, one that only covered one tiny blue planet. But the fear spread farther. On a moon station above the planet Zirel, an ancient species gathered. They were historians, not warriors. They recorded everything. They believed nothing should be feared, only understood. But now, even they were afraid. Their oldest archive had begun to rewrite itself, not by code, not by touch, by something else. New text appeared in every language. Do not search. Do not send. Do not remember. One historian wept. We woke. It, he said. We were never meant to see. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the being from the deep walked through the ruins of the old village. He wore a simple cloak, no weapons, no armor. But the ground bent beneath his steps. He looked at the sky. Then, he smiled just slightly. They watch, let them. In orbit, a stealth ship watched from afar. It belonged to the Jatari, a spider-like race that sold information. They had been paid to watch Earth quietly, but as they zoomed in on the figure, the screen cracked. Not from damage, from fear. The pilot panicked. He tried to fly away. The ship's systems shut down. He screamed into his comms, "He looked at me!" No one answered. The feed ended. Elsewhere, the Galactic Council met again. This time, no lies, no secrets. All files opened. The Varnok shared their defeat. The Velkar showed the hunter logs, up to the moment they vanished, and the Krav offered their final scan, a heat signature rising from Earth's core, not natural, not nuclear, something alive, something old. One council member said, "We need a plan." Another said, "We need to leave this galaxy." But the Terran representative stood up. She was human, calm and smiling. "You were warned." "Long ago," she said, "Earth is not a threat unless you make it one." Meanwhile, in a school on Mars, a young human boy stared at the stars. He whispered to himself, "He's here." His teacher asked, "Who?" The boy answered softly, "The first, the one who made the promise that no one will ever take us again." And in the great black of space, just outside Earth's system, something moved. It was not a ship, it was not a god. It had no shape, only pressure and whispers. It slid between stars. And every time it passed a planet, the lights dimmed until it reached the edge of Earth's sky. Then it stopped, waiting, watching, because it remembered. It had tried before, and it had been beaten. Back in the ancient chamber, the cloaked being sat beside a small fire. He held a simple, human object, a child's toy. He turned it in his hand, then set it down carefully. He looked toward the sky and whispered, "Come again if you dare. This time I won't just protect. This time I'll end it." In the cold void beyond Neptune, a fleet arrived. It was not human. It was not invited. It was the Drakari, a war-born species from the outer rim. Big, brutal, fearless. They had heard the warnings, but they didn't believe in ghosts. They believed in victory, so they came with fire. 12 massive warships, hundreds of fighters, enough power to break a planet. Their goal? Capture Earth or destroy it. They didn't care which. Their leader, Commander Kor, smiled as Earth came into view. "This is just another hunt." On Earth, the cloaked figure looked up. He didn't blink. He didn't speak. He just breathed and... In orbit, something heard him. As the Drakari fleet moved closer, their systems began to fail. Not all at once. Slowly, a radar blinked off. Then a comm signal scrambled. Then gravity inside one ship reversed. A soldier floated up, screaming. Then vanished. No blood, just gone. Commander Kor shouted, "Scan the planet!" But the computers only gave one word: error. Suddenly, one of the rear ships exploded. Without being touched, pieces flew silently into space. The rest of the fleet backed away, but it was too late. Something was inside their ships. Not a person, not a machine. A presence. Kor ran to the bridge, window, and looked down at Earth. He saw him, the cloaked human, standing in a field, looking right at him. And then Kor felt it. Pressure, like a hand pressing into his chest, into his mind. He dropped to his knees. Behind him, his crew screamed. Some vanished, some laughed, some begged. In Earth's skies, no missile was fired. No ship left the ground, yet one by one Drakari ships powered down, then fell. Not in flames, in silence. They crashed into oceans, into deserts, without harming a single human, as if guided by a careful, unseen hand. In the Galactic Council chamber, alarms rang. 100 screens flashed red. The Drakari had gone dark, all of them. One message came through before silence. We were wrong. He is not a soldier. He is the storm. On Earth, the cloaked man walked through a ruined field. Flowers began to grow behind him. He stopped beside a small tree and sat down. He whispered, "They never learn." A child ran up behind him, the same child from before. The boy sat next to him and said, "Are you going to fight again?" The man smiled for the first time. "No. I am done fighting. Now I teach." In the dark corners of the galaxy, the oldest species, the Watchers, finally spoke. They had never acted, never interfered. But now they sent one message to every race: do not test Earth. The one who guards it has awoken, and he does not sleep twice. Back in the stars beyond known space, something ancient stirred. It had no name, no shape. It had fought Earth once, long ago, and lost. Now it opened its eyes again and whispered, "One more time. Then I will end him." In the far edge of the universe, beyond every star map, something rose. It had no homeworld, no fleet, no body, only a name, feared in whispers. The Null. It was not a species. It was not alive. It was the end of life. Worlds it touched turned grey. Civilizations vanished without a sound. No battle, no escape, just silence. The Null had one rule: all must end. It had destroyed entire galaxies, but there was one place it could never enter: Earth. Until now, it moved. Slow, cold, certain. The stars dimmed in its path, and deep beneath Earth's surface, the cloaked man opened his eyes. He stood, slowly. Dust fell from his shoulders. His voice was calm. "So it returns." He turned to the child beside him and spoke softly. "This is the last one. The one I promised to stop." The child looked afraid, but the man smiled gently. "Don't fear the end. Fear what wakes to stop it." In the skies above Earth, strange clouds formed. Black. Still. Lightning cracked without thunder, and Then nothing. Everything stopped. No wind, no birds. Even the oceans paused. Then a ripple tore through the sky like glass breaking. The null had arrived. No ships, no army, just a black wave. It spoke, not with sound, but in every mind at once. "Cease. Submit. End." Billions heard it. Some fell to their knees. Some wept. Some forgot how to speak. Even machines stopped working. But one human whispered back, "No." The cloaked man stood in the middle of a field. He took off his hood. His face looked young, but behind his eyes was age beyond counting. He raised one hand, not to attack but to call, and the ground answered. From deep below, light rose, old light, a memory of creation. And suddenly he wasn't alone. Shadows moved beside him, tall, silent figures made of thought and fire. Not human, but not alien either. Echoes of those who once stood before the stars, the last defenders. One of them spoke. "We remember the promise." Another added, "No end while we stand." The cloaked man nodded, then stepped forward. The null screamed, not with hate, with fear. It had not felt resistance in 1,000 cycles, but this was different. This was Earth, and Earth had teeth. A blast of energy erupted, not from weapons, from memory, from will, from hope. The null cracked like shattered ice. It tried to flee, but the man followed. He didn't run. He walked, and every step pushed the null farther from the stars. In the sky, humans looked up. They didn't know why they smiled, but deep inside they felt it. Something ancient, something strong, protecting them, still watching, still walking. The man reached the edge of the void. The null hovered above, broken, shaking. It begged now, "Spare me." "We are the same." The man's voice was quiet, cold. "No. You end. I begin." And with that, the null vanished. Gone. Not destroyed. Unmade. Erased from time itself. The stars returned. The sky cleared. Earth breathed. Again. And the man, the guardian, the first, turned and walked home. Silence returned to the galaxy, but it was not the silence of fear. It was the silence of respect. The null was gone, not beaten. Erased, and everyone knew who did it. The Galactic Council, once full of pride, now stood in quiet awe. No more jokes about humans, no more tests, no more hunting. Every race, from the oldest to the youngest, sent the same message to Earth. We will not interfere. We will not forget. Thank you. On Earth the skies were clear. For the first time in centuries, no threats came from the stars. No ships hovered, no scouts watched, just peace. And in a small village, green and calm, the cloaked man walked. Through the fields, he passed children playing, farmers working. No one feared him. They just nodded, smiled, or offered a wave. They didn't worship him. They didn't need to. They simply understood. The child who once stood by his side ran to him. "Again, is it really over?" the child asked. The man looked up at the stars, quiet for a long time, then he nodded once. "For now. But peace is not a gift. It is a task. We protect it. Always." Somewhere deep in space, far from stars, old empires gathered. They had not attacked Earth. They had only watched. But even they chose to step back, to stay quiet, because the galaxy had changed, not through invasion, not by force, but by human will. In a hidden archive on a forgotten moon, a new story was carved into stone. There came a time when the galaxy hunted Earth, and Earth stood alone. But it did not fall. It changed everything. Back on Earth, the man finally removed his cloak. He stood beneath the sky, face calm, eyes full of light. His voice echoed, not loud but strong. You wanted weakness. You found something else. You found the end of fear. And then he was gone. No flash, no sound, just gone. Some say he still walks the earth. Some say he returned to the stars. Others say he was never just one man, but the spirit of humanity itself. The truth? No one knows. But across every galaxy, every world, every species, but they remember one thing. Only one walked away.